We've had a houseplant accident. My poor trailing jade was knocked over. It was really overgrown with really long stems that were heavy and awkward, and the plant was at minimum 3 years old, most likely a couple years older than that. And so some of the stems were broken, and this video is going to be kind of about what I'm going to do to fix that. This is a before shot, kind of a before shot of my trailing jade, and I'll show you why it's kind of. Because right here is where the major breakage happened. But there were also a lot of other leaves that were damaged and have dried up, so they're just not as obvious. And a lot of those I've already pulled off, like from along. You can see another one there. So there was a lot of damage there. And then these had been already shed. This was not from the accident. These were from when early at the beginning of the growing season, this plant needed to be up potted because it had been in the same pot for, well, probably 3 years. And it was ready. It needed to be up potted. So I don't do that with succulents very often because they tend to like to be root bound, but it was showing me that it needed it right here. So that was when I up potted it. But now it's time for a complete makeover. All right, we have some decent light today, so I'm gonna go ahead and film right here next to my kitchen sink. I'm gonna make my first cut, and about wherever I make my cut will be towards the end will be where the new growth will happen. Let me show you a for example. This is the one that was broken off. Well, let me just bring it to you. This is the one that was broken off. This is the new growth that has happened since this branch was broken off. It didn't happen down here. It can happen down below, but generally it's going to go at the end because generally that's where most of the meristem cells are, which are going to be the cells that are going to produce new foliar growth. So with that in mind, I'm not going to cut like all the way back here. I can see that I have made a cut in the past, or someone has way back here, and that this all grew from that. This is a big long trailing, keeps on going. Oh, poor baby. But because of that, I'm going to cut back a little bit further so I won't have a bunch of ugly bare stems and then lovely full growth. So why am I cutting this? Why did I cut this huge beautiful stem off? Well, because this is capable of growing. It has a wonderful healthy root system below. It's capable of growing new growth, and I don't want it to look all awkward and weird with like a few long stems and then some tiny little short stems. I'm just starting from scratch. So let's just keep on going. Again, you can see where this one has been cut in the past. I don't remember cutting my plant, so I don't know if I was the one who did it or if that was, probably I was the one who did this because this one isn't nearly as long as some of my others. I don't know, it's hard to say. I may leave these two like longish, but not nearly as long as the other two stems. And then just have these two short ones restarting. And then I'm going to use all of these pieces here and here to make new baby trailing jade plants. So there, I think I'm just gonna leave this just like this. And this is gonna go under my grow lights downstairs, along with all the new starts that I'm gonna take from these. Oops, there's the other one. Okay. Okay, here's the carnage. And this is gonna be a really simple process. I'm just gonna cut some pieces, and it kind of doesn't matter like how big they are, except that you kind of want them to be uniform. So I'll pull off a leaf where I want there to be a place for roots to come out. And I will simply, I'm gonna get super close so you can see this. So here's where the leaf came off. And I'm gonna save the leaf below, so I wanna snip right in between those two things. So you can still see where that leaf came off. Most likely this is where new roots, this and the bottom, are where new roots will form. So this is going to be stuck straight in some soil. I already have some little containers prepped and ready to go. You can dip this in a rooting hormone or cinnamon. Both of those things work nicely as just a preventative for like fungal infections and things. But I've been doing this for a really long time and I don't have time for all that. And with most succulents, you just don't need it. And I'm literally just placing it right in the soil. This leaf that we cut off is not lost. You can also lay this down on top of soil and a new baby trailing jade plant will start at the base of that leaf. So if you want to keep all of the leaves that you cut and lay those out on some soil, they will also make new babies for you. I'm just going to go ahead and keep doing this process, and I'll check back in with you and show you what it looks like when I'm done cutting all of these. Alright, my counter's kind of dirty, but that's okay. I have these 5 containers that I have planted up with cuttings. I have enough cuttings to make 1 more of these planters. Here's another one. And then I have a couple stems, and I wanted to talk about that because you can see that these have some like adventitious roots already started there. And even if they didn't, don't throw this kind of plant material away if it's a succulent plant, because this will absolutely grow new plants. You just have to be a little bit more patient. It's not going to happen as quickly as this stuff does, but it will happen. So I have that, plus I have I don't know, probably 25 leaves like this that can also be just laying like on top of the soil like this. And at the end where this met the stem of the plant, this leaf was on the stem of the plant, new plants will form there. For every single one of those, not necessarily. Probably some of them will shrivel and die. That's just the way that it happens. But why not give it a try? It's such a beautiful plant. I love them. I love Trailing Jade. I think it's just one of the prettiest houseplants. It really is. It's the best of both worlds. Succulent, houseplant. It's just beautiful. So that's what I'm going to do with these. And I did want to say one other thing. And that is that I'm not going to water these right away just because these all have fresh cuts. And I'd like to give the wound a little bit of time to callus over, which really that's only going to take like an hour or so. But I still will probably refrain from watering these for, I don't know, several days. I am going to put them underneath grow lights down in my basement and just let them do their thing. And I will water them after a few days, like I said, and it'll be very similar to the way that I water all of my succulent plants, except they may take just a little more frequent waterings And just like any plant, when it is being propagated, they generally need a little bit more water because they're expending a lot of energy to do that new growth. So just something to keep in mind if you're going to be cutting on any of your succulent plants. Okay, it's almost a month later, and I just wanted to show you growth updates on those little trailing jade pieces that I potted up earlier in this video. That was filmed on October 19th. This is November 16th, so almost exactly 1 month. They're coloring up purple, which trailing jade does. All this, you can see, that's the new growth there, new growth there. Not everything has taken off. I have a brown leaf right there I wanted to show you. But literally everything else, there's new growth down there. This is all new growth. That's all new growth. So literally everything else is doing well, and it's all kind of going at its own pace. Like those are pretty small growths compared to like this one, which is huge. That's all a new growth. So I don't know what causes one to grow faster than another, or like this leaf has kind of curled up, and the new growth will come from there if it does come. So I'm just going to actually turn that over and let it touch the soil, but it'll all do its own thing at its own pace. But I did want to just show you like what propagating looks like with that trailing jade. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was a little bit maybe informational and maybe a little fun. So take care, everyone. See you in our next video.